Hello. Let me first thank the organizers for having accepted my paper, Positioning Germany's Right-Wing Revival in Global Context, and welcome to the IPRA conference in Nairobi, which unfortunately I have not been able to visit this time and attend in person. Now, regarding Germany, of course, everybody knows what is happening and also what has happened. Right-wing extremism and neo-fascism has come to the fore again in the Federal Republic of Germany. This includes political organizations, people and groups that proclaim racist, nationalist, anti-Semitist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and militarist ideologies. Sleeper cells that have been dormant and almost invisible for decades are suddenly appearing. The AfD, Alternative for Germany party, now has been firmly established in the German parliament. So what is so special about Germany? Of course, when Germany was politically united in 1871, when militarist Prussia defeated the French Republic, the German foreign policy, coined by Bismarck as a policy of blood and iron, determined the direction in which Germany was going. The German Emperor William II, in particular, was a man very much favoring competition with Britain, especially naval competition. Germany wanted to outdo the British dominance in the world. And so then we come to the Hague Peace Conferences, where the Emperor William, who I just referred to, was very much in opposition to. The first Hague Peace Conference in 1899 and the second Hague Peace Conference in 1907. To both these conferences, the Russian Tsar, Nicholas II, had sent invitations, and also the American President Roosevelt and the Dutch Queen Wilhelmina had been involved in these invitations. And these were the first international conferences where nations from all over the world participated, including Japan, Persia, Thailand, of course the United States of America, and at the second conference also the South American states. And at these conferences the main issues were disarmament and creating an international court with compulsory jurisdiction. The idea was one which everybody could easily understand, that is, if you don't want to go to war, then you go to court. And it should be prohibited to go to war, so the conferences already aimed at the abolition of war as an institution that until then had been quite a legitimate political means to a certain national interest. And this was very much welcomed not only by the public and the peace movement, but also by the major powers, including the United States of America, Russia, Britain, which was a colonial power, and France, also a colonial power, and also China. So a small minority voted against the International Court having binding powers, obligatory arbitration it was called. Maybe 10% of all the nations. And the Americans tried to obtain a majority vote because the decisions had to be made by consensus. But the Americans were unsuccessful and then abstained from voting, as did Japan. Anyway, why are these conferences important? Because as a prelude to World War I, and with Germany having spearheaded the opposition to the International Court, the development took a turn toward fascism eventually, and racism and militarist policies in Germany. So during the First World War, there were several attempts for a peaceful settlement, which, however, Germany rejected. And after the First World War, then the other nations were blamed for Germany's defeat, like the German government was talking about having been stabbed in the back, and partly the Jews were held responsible for this. So the Hague Peace Conferences, having been the first truly global assemblies meeting in times of peace, having failed, and the First World War, Germany having been defeated, this led already in 1919 to Adolf Hitler becoming politically active and eventually taking over. Hitler joined the Deutsche Arbeiterpartei, a German Workers' Party, in 1919, and eventually proclaimed the Third Reich a single-party fascist state. And basically already since the 18th century there had been an idea that the German spirit will heal the world. So this is one of the very important backgrounds when we look at what is happening today. So how did Germany and the Germans deal with their past after the Second War had ended? There is a comparison one can make with Germany and Japan. Now, Japan has steadfastly held on to its peace constitution, prohibiting any kind of war, actually aiming at the abolition of war. And the Japanese military is only meant for defensive purposes. So if Japan were to be attacked, then only it could become active, but not in any out-of-area activities like collective self-defense, which is very much debated today. And Japan is under much pressure from countries like Germany to participate in military collective self-defense actions. So one of the things to remember is that not only what happened in the interwar period before World War II and Nazism and Hitlerism, but that after the Second World War, those people who had been responsible both in academia and in the administration were not really very much held responsible and had not been purged really. What is called denazification in Germany did not really work very well. And in fact, all efforts to prosecute Nazi leaders and also academics and so on were ended in 1951. So there was no more persecution of Nazi members who had been guilty of what Germany had done during the war, including the activities against the Jews and the concentration camps. So already quite early on, new right-wing parties were formed, quite a number, but in the beginning, of course, they did not exert very much influence. The Germans in the first few years after the war were more concerned with other matters of surviving and so on. But